All right, everybody, welcome in today to the Industry Podcast. This is Mike here. We got a very special guest today, but before I introduce him, we got to introduce the OG legend. Where's DJ Fresco? What's up, man?
What's up, world? What's up, Mike?
How you
Artie,
feeling?
what's going on, guys?
Are
How
you
you guys doing? I'm great.
are you recovered? Been
Man,
a
I'm not
couple
gonna
days.
lie, it was I was tired. I was tired, but it was fun. It was worth it.
That was a good time. It was a good time. And today, our special guest is the one and only DJ Artie V. Hashtag no Artie, no party. Artie, thank you so much for coming on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is great. Love what you guys are doing here.
Thank you. And yeah, you're very supportive. And Artie watched the whole episode, which thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
Yes.
Let's get into it, man. Who are you?
Who am I? I am Artie V. I come from Taunton, Mass. So I'm familiar with the South Coast entertainment group and everyone else around here. And I've been DJing for about 22 years now.
Wow. 22 years? You look like you're in your 20s.
Yep. This is I dye my beard, bro. This is all gray underneath.
Wow, I would have never thought you've been DJing for 22 years. Wow. All right. I thought you were like in the late 20s or something. DJing since 5 years old.
Nah, man. Nah, I've been doing this for a long time, man.
Awesome. How did you get into the game? How did this, was it start as a kid or like how did you do this?
Well, I mean, when I first started, I always loved music. So music was always something that growing up Portuguese, you're always going to the festas, you're always going to, you know, listen to music really loud on a Saturday morning because mom was cleaning the house and stuff, stuff like that. And music was always in my life, and I feel like as a kid, music was my escape from all the stress and drama that was going on in the world, whether it be like you get grounded from doing something bad and your parents will take away your TV. So all I had was my Walkman and my Discman. So I'd always collect music and just listen to music all the time. So music was my escape. And I would always listen to music like in my bed or on the floor in my bedroom, just put headphones on. And I always liked to collect music, and I never knew how to play an instrument. But if I felt like I was always the first one to get a new song or a new CD or a new version of a song, and I was always the one to show it to my cousins or my friends, and I always loved their reaction whenever they heard a new song that I had. So I was like, oh, how can I do this like full time? And then my uncle, my godfather, actually, he wasn't a DJ. He was helping a wedding DJ a lot. So he had the Radio Shack mixers, he had the speakers and everything else like that. So when I actually wanted to be a DJ, I took his equipment because he wasn't really using it and started doing like family parties and stuff. So I started doing family parties, collecting a lot of CDs, a lot of records at the time. And then when I started doing family parties, I became old enough to go to a club. Um, and then when I became old enough to go to the club, I saw what a DJ was doing inside the club. And I was like, ooh, this is the kind of DJ I want to be. I didn't want to do the private event stuff when I was younger because we all chase that dream. We want to be on the big stage. We want to be like the cool DJ that's at the club and, getting all the girls, getting all the attention and stuff. So that's where my mind was set at a young age. And that's pretty much how it happened.
Now, what was your first piece of equipment? Like you said, you used their equipment. It's like, what was it?
So yeah, my uncle had a Radio Shack mixer, and this thing was like so ancient and so like old, and he had these old speakers that just they worked. They were my first pieces of equipment, and I can't knock it. And I remember like the CD players back in the day were like trays that would come out like a DVD player. Remember how DVD players would tray would like eject out of it?
Yep.
CD player looked like that back in the day, and that's what I used to use. And I was just press and play. It wasn't really mixing, it was just press and play in between songs, not mixing. That was pretty much how I learned, And then I think I got my first bar gig at a place in Somerville, Mass. And it was the same thing. I was just playing music. I didn't know how to mix. I was still learning at the time.
So I remember like obviously Pioneer is huge, but I used to do like family gigs, and we had like a Pioneer DJ home surround system with like 40 speakers, and I would literally rip that thing off the wall and like play CDs inside the thing. They had like a 6 CD spinner, and I would literally go, all right, let's go to disc
Oh
two,
yeah, I
let's go to
remember.
disc four. and play through all of that.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
those.
no, that
Of
I have a
course.
question
I mean,
for Artie. What were some of your early inspirations, like music wise? Like, who did you listen to? Were there any DJs that you look up to?
well, at the beginning stages of my career, of my DJ career, I was very into EDM. You know, I liked a lot of, I loved trance music, Euro
Yep.
dance. Um, I was very into EDM. I was the kid that, always like loved the dance music, Euro dance, because growing up Portuguese, that was kind of very a popular genre to listen to.
And this was around
So
probably what, late '90s, early 2000s, kind of to paint a
yeah,
picture. Yeah,
around the year 99, 2000. That's when like
nice.
that Rude Sandstorm was a hit,
Yep.
back when like Zombie Nation was a hit, So back then those songs were huge, and my biggest DJ that I followed a lot, like on TV, not on TV, but like listening to like records and stuff, I liked Tiesto a lot. So Tiesto was like a famous DJ that I really watched and really watched him progress through his years of doing trance music. I loved his stuff. I was always buying his records. But then locally, I would say a DJ that actually I look up to even to this day. He's not really a DJ anymore. He runs the OC Club in Atlantic City, but back then he used to do a club called Avalon in Boston. And Avalon is a legendary nightclub that
yeah.
it was a building blocks to, I think, nightlife in Boston for a long time. So he was a resident there. His name is DJ Manolo. Shout out to him. I love Manolo. He's such a great guy. He had a record shop in Brighton called Sound Factory. And what was cool about this record shop is that he would sell CDs of himself recorded live at Avalon, at some of the clubs he would play at. He'd play at Avalon. He would play at another place called Paradise in Boston. He would play at different spots. And what he would do is he would record his sets live and sell them at his record shop. You could always tell he wasn't supposed to do that because he would always write promotional use only on the CDs, and even though he would sell it behind the counter, so it was totally like under the radar type of thing because copyright, and you're not supposed to sell like music that's not really
Yeah.
yours and stuff like that. But he would sell it behind the counter and stuff. And I remember asking him for advice on how to mix music, and he would literally give me every record he played on that CD. And he's like, "Here, try to duplicate that CD." So
Wow.
that's pretty much I have to hand it to him. Taught me how to mix and everything else from there, and how to actually be at that time an EDM DJ. So I mean, I had my first residency at a place called Hannah's in Somerville, and I was pretty much playing just records, just stuff that he would play at Avalon at this small little bar. It was a good time. Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, do you do weddings now? Do you do any private events now? Or are you still?
So it's an interesting journey of mine. So I first started doing private events, and then I didn't want to do the whole private events. Like I said, we all have that dream when we were younger to be on that stage like Tiesto and be on that big stage at a club or be that club DJ. So I did that for a long time, for a very long time. And I always said to myself, I didn't want to do weddings, not because they're not fun or anything. It's just I didn't have that vision in my head. I was a young DJ. I wanted to be on a big stage just like everybody else. So I did the whole club circuit for a long time. I still do it. Um, but I always looked at weddings like, hey, because I have a lot of wedding DJ friends, and I've had wedding DJ friends for a long time, and they always told me, Artie, you should get into weddings. Forget the club stuff. Forget the. I was young, and this guy's telling me forget the club stuff. I'm having the time of my life at the club,
Mhm.
and this guy's telling me forget the club life. Do weddings. Do weddings. Do weddings. I'm like, I'm not ready to do weddings. So I waited a long time till I was ready. I want to say to the point where not only was I ready, but I was doing a full time job and I was DJing on the weekends. So it came to a point, and it was right before a pandemic, unfortunately. It came to a point where I was kind of balancing my life out. Where do I want to work 9 to 5 and hate my job, or do I want to do weddings where I don't really hate it? It's just a little bit more work. So then I was right before pandemic hit. I said, you know what? I'm going to focus a lot more on weddings. I'm going to quit my 9 to 5, and then the pandemic hit. I'm like, oh man, this
Of
really
course.
sucks because I don't have anything going. I didn't have a backup plan, and my whole DJ career came to a halt during the
Mhm.
pandemic. So it was a very scary moment for me. But during that time, it made me like reset and refocus put more energy towards weddings and realize that, hey, weddings is going to pay the bills now that I don't have a 9 to 5, and the demand is there for me to do weddings. So it all came into play at the right time.
So what do you see as so like talking to some other DJs, especially younger? So like we know a bunch of DJs who are in their 20s and they're like you, like they were in the club, they love the club, they're having the time of their life. But I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like there's a trade off between with money and promotion. Like you're going to your clubs and people are like, oh my god, that's Artie, that's Brian, like let's go, like we're gonna go see him, and then you're getting your check for $100, and then vice versa. You're going to a wedding and you're getting paid a lot more, or whatever the price is. Like what's the trade off there? Like are clubs mainly for more promotion? Are there more higher paying clubs in the industry now? Like what is the difference in how that works for
There
you?
are, yeah, there are. And what I like to say now, at the point where I'm at, there are a lot more clubs out there, more bars that are paying a little bit more, especially in Boston. I mean, they could be paying a lot more because I feel like some of these places are still paying what they paid in 2005. Don't get me wrong, like $200 a night or 250 a night, and it's like you're not doing anything that night, and you're home. You're gonna complain about the money all day long, but it's like, hey, you know what? I'd rather be playing music, and that's where I was at for a long time. I was doing local bars for like 175 a night just to keep the pedals going. Like I say, it's like riding a bike. You know what I mean? You got to keep pedaling. So I would do it just to keep myself busy and to keep myself fresh on the behind the turntables, whether it's a small crowd or a big crowd. But not to say you're not worth more, because you were always worth more. I feel like DJs are definitely worth more. And when it comes to like weddings, I like to have the balance I have now, where I'm doing 20 weddings a year and still working at the club, as much as I can. I like that balance because, a couple of weeks ago, I had clients come up to me and say, "Oh, we'd love to see you play out. Where are you?" Not a lot of wedding DJs can do that. Wedding DJs can't say, "Hey, my client, come to this wedding that I'm doing so you can see what I'm doing at a wedding." You can't do that. If you're only a wedding DJ, you're
Yep.
limited to doing that. So I like the balance I have. Not only do I send clients to my bars and my public spots, I also get clients because of my public spots. So it kind of works both ways. So a lot of times, a client, a potential client, will come up to me at a bar or a club, and they're like, "We need you for our wedding. We don't care how much." They don't even care about the price at that point. So that's where I say the demand comes in. So that's where I can charge a little bit more than a regular wedding DJ. I'm not going to wedding expos to sell myself. I'm not posting on social media that I do weddings all the time. I'm not in those wedding groups promoting myself all the time, like we see all these other DJs do. Like, hey, I'm looking for a wedding on blah 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 area wedding group, and they're posting there. I'm not knocking that, because if it makes you money, then go ahead and do it. But I don't need to do that personally, because I feel like I have an equal balance of being in public setting and doing weddings that can crush both. So I feel like it's a great thing to have going on. Like I said, people come up to me, they say, "Hey, we want you. We need you for our wedding. What you're doing is fantastic here. We want the same vibe." And a lot of times now, I feel weddings, they're throwing the traditions out the window. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to like,
Yes.
no one's doing garter
Nope.
talk anymore. No one's doing bouquets. No one's doing not even cake cutting. They want cake cutting like privately to the
Yeah.
side. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they just want a party. That's all it is. They want to party. So with that said, it's like, hey, this DJ definitely throws down. This is the exact same vibe I want to do at my wedding. I don't even care about announcements. I want my dancing portion of the wedding to be what this DJ is doing right now at this club. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, I've seen that over the past couple of years. It's like, even especially last year, it's like I was shocked to see a bouquet toss. I was shocked to see a even cake cutting, like you said. It's always private. It's like, yeah, we don't want attention on that. Like, don't even announce it. And I'm like, cool. So you just want to party? They're like, yeah, yeah,
It's pretty much what it is. And like a lot of these clients, even when we're talking about the meetings and stuff, and it's like when they want to add some stuff to the formalities, say they want to add like, another special dance or another speech or whatever it is, we always tell them, it's like, hey, that's just taking time away from your dancing part. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't want that. We want more dancing. So yes, a lot of formalities are going out the window nowadays. I mean, when I was a kid, the wedding DJ would be up there doing dollar dances with the bride and the groom, and having a line of people shake hands with the bride and groom, kisses and hugs. There'd be garter tosses and bouquet tosses. There'd be first dances, last dances. There'd be all kinds of different things going on in the wedding, and the dancing portion wasn't as important. I'm not saying people had fun back then, they did, but when it came to wedding DJs, they were just on the mic, and that's what they specialized in. They didn't really specialize in mixing music the way we do now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like for me, like for my own wedding one day, like I don't want to have 2 hours of dance time. I don't want to have an hour of dance time. Like I want to party all night. Like, that's
Right.
and again, you're seeing all these things get pushed away. Even parent dances, like and another trend, like you were bringing up trends. It's like, how many times is your first dance the full song now? How many times is your father, daughter, mother, son, parent dances 20 seconds? Like a minute in, you're cutting it after the first chorus. Like it's a completely new trend now, uh, that's happening, which I think is a good trend. I mean, yeah, some of those things are nice. Some of those formalities are nice, and when they happen, they're cool. Um, but like you said, I mean, it's people just want to party now. They'll skim anywhere.
Yeah, and you see it. I mean, I feel like I mean, I just could have the market where it's a younger crowd. I don't know. I did do a wedding last year for an older couple, and they did want a little bit more formalities, but it was just that one out of like probably the 40 weddings I've done in the past 2 years. I would say one was really back to tradition. Everything else tradition, like all those formalities, just going out the window, like we said.
Yeah, Brian, you got anything on
Where
it?
do you yeah, so I'm curious as far as the nightlife goes. Where's the like where do you play? Where's your market? And also, have you seen a difference at all in the nightlife scene, like post pandemic compared to pre pandemic?
So I play in Boston. I play in Boston a lot. I started in Boston. I do play in Providence too. I had a residency at Coliseum. Still kind of do. I can do
How is the
Coliseum whenever I want
Coliseum?
much, but
I
it's
haven't been
fun.
there since I
You
was
know,
18.
yeah, everybody says that. So the good thing about DJing at Coliseum is that those 18-year-olds, they have a lot of energy. So that's what I like about it. So it's one of those things. For the past, I think I want to say like maybe last year or after the pandemic, I slowed down a lot in Coliseum, but I'm back again. I'm there this Friday actually. Um,
Do you do free play as well?
Before the pandemic, no, that's another DJ. I think his name's DJ
Because
Mario.
I
I
I
never
didn't know
met
if
him,
they were
but he does
together.
like
Like, isn't there like together, same
so
ownership?
so yeah. So back when I Yeah, it is the same owner. It's the same building. It's the same owner. So back in the day, not back in the day, back before like pandemic, Coliseum upstairs was this huge room. So they had the behind the DJ booth had this big extra room, and we used to do like um the bulls over there. Right, you can ride a bull back there. They used to do like theme nights and stuff. So they would put some kind of crazy stuff. Like I remember there was like a mud wrestling ring back there once, and so they so they closed that off. So they closed that off now. So that is called Rewind. So it's like a separate like club pretty much, and that's for 21 and over, and that's attached to free play. So if you're downstairs at free play at the arcade, you can go upstairs and dance and go to that part of that club. It's called Rewind. And some guy like DJ Mario plays like a lot of throwbacks. So it's kind of like just like a throwback spot for over 21 and over crowd. So but going back to where I'm at, I used to do Providence a lot. I used to do Coliseum a lot. I was there probably once a month for a couple of years. Me and my boy, Fresh Cut Kid, we used to team up together. We used to DJ there. It was great. Those days were great. That's right before like Colo did a little bit of a revamp. That's right before the Rewind, before the arcade was down there because they used to have a was it the Ruins? I think it was called. They used to have DJs downstairs. They used to have DJs outside on the patio, which I love when it comes to Providence nightlife because I feel like Rhode Island just they get away with a lot more when it comes to like liquor licensing and entertainment. Like they can have DJs outside, which I love. So. But Boston's a different animal. Boston has a lot more people. I feel the nightlife is just a lot better. There's a lot more bars, a lot more clubs. I'm at White Bull Tavern, which is in Faneuil Hall. I'm there every Friday and Saturday. I'm the resident there. If I'm not there on Fridays and Saturdays because I'm doing another event, I'll book out another DJ there. I do Sissy K's on Tuesdays. It's an off day, not really the busiest day of the week. I would probably say on average, I get one good Tuesday a month there, because a lot of times it's really dead there. But it's a paycheck at the end of the day. And just like a comic, sometimes these comics, these comedians, they go to a place during the week just so they can work on material. And I feel like in a public setting like that on a Tuesday for me is great to do that. Sometimes I'll go
Yep.
live on TikTok and I'll just mess around, some wordplay, some transitions, and just, even though there's nobody there,
That's a
I
good
can
way
still
to think about it.
practice, and yeah, so I sometimes I'll go through, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of throwing on the mix and sitting there and going on my phone and working on stuff that I need to on social media, whatever. But a lot of times I'm up there just, messing around and going on TikTok live. Like I said, sometimes I'll get a little crowd on there. I'll get more of a crowd of going live than I do at the bar. But Thursdays, I do a college spot over here in Bridgewater, not too far from my house. It's called Greyhound Tavern. I do it like every other Thursday with my boy Jeff Action Jackson. He DJs there as well. It's a college spot. It gets really busy on Thursdays. Great vibe. Um, I'm not there this Thursday. I think I'm there next Thursday. And then I got White Bull Friday and Saturdays, and also have Stats, the legendary Stats. Stats on Sunday. I was there all day yesterday. Stats is a really cool spot. It's in Southie, South Boston. I'm there every Sunday. I'm not there during the summer though, but I want to say that spot is where I land a lot of my weddings because it's a lot of young professionals, and it's just a bar. It's nothing like no dance floor or anything, but people get wild. People line out there for like 11 a.m. for the brunch and everything,
Oh,
and I'm there for 7 hours. I DJ for 7 hours. I'm there from like
Wow.
usually from like 12 to 7, 12 to 8. If it's Marathon Monday, I'm there for like 12 hours. If it's New Year's Day, I'm there from open to close. It's
wow.
madness.
Wow.
But it's a cool spot. It's fun because that could be very open format. At White Bow Tavern, I play more EDM, upbeat, energy-filled music, and that's what the owner wants there, which I have no problem playing there. During the summer, I'm at a spot called Water Club Marina Bay, and that's my longest residency to date. Every summer, I do that spot, and it's a great spot. And it's the same kind of vibe as White Bull, where they want high energy, top 40 remixes. They don't want nothing like too low tempo. I can't play like Pop Smoke or anything like that. But when it comes to a place like Stats, I could be very open format. I could be silly. I can do whatever I want, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm a busy guy.
So
So,
yeah, go ahead. Yep. Yep.
sorry,
Yep.
this kind of just goes into the question I had, but also back to the question you had earlier, Mike. With when you look at the nightlife in comparison to being a wedding DJ and sort of balancing the two. But correct me if I'm wrong, right? You're from Taunton, for instance. I'm from New Bedford, but the very locally, I feel like the opportunities just aren't as present as like you kind of have to branch out into the bigger cities and the bigger towns to be able to get something not only consistent, but again, like Mike was saying, like you go in, you struggle to get 100-200 bucks out of a local bar as opposed to these other places in the bigger cities.
Yeah, I've speaking of New Bedford, I used to do Bar 908 for a while, so
Man, that was
um,
I hear a lot of
it,
stories about that place. I mean, I've been there. I went towards the tail end before they closed down. I had just turned 21, 22, and it was fun, honestly. But um, you know,
but with that said, yeah, so like, a lot of local gigs, I always say this too, like if you're too arrogant to take a small gig, then you don't deserve the big ones. You know what I mean? I feel like
mm,
every DJ should appreciate the small gigs because the small gigs kind of like they teach you a lot, especially the
yep,
local ones and everything else. They teach you to be humble for one, and they teach you, the basics of like, how to read a crowd that might not interact with you as well as a Boston bar. It's easy to DJ for a full room. I think it's
yep,
easy.
yep,
It's harder to DJ for like 5 people sitting at a bar because you got to watch for their head moving or their feet like tapping a little bit, and it's like, okay, I got that person sitting at the bar even though they're not dancing. It's like, I know that I got that person, they're vibing with me right now because they're nodding their head, or they're tapping their shoe or whatever it may be. So I feel it's important to do the local gigs and everything else. Granted, the money's not there, but like I said, it's better than being home complaining on social media about not having work. If you can land yourself a small gig, whether it be, a small local bar or even like a bar 908 or whatever, even if it's low money, you never know who's going to be in the crowd. You never know what kind of connections you're going to make. You never know if that one person's sitting there like, oh, this guy's great, I want him for my wedding. So I'm lucky enough to have these Boston residencies. They fell in my lap at the right time, especially White Bull Tavern. It fell in my lap like right after COVID. And I'm lucky enough to be in that market. And when I say in that market particular, I mean Boston has money. Those people in Boston, especially
Right.
like in Southie stuff. So where I can justify what I charge for a wedding is because I know they have it and they already made the decision before they even asking the price. So when it comes to down here, it's tough because sometimes I'll get a wedding quote and stuff, and somebody will be from like either New Bedford or Taunton or Somerset, and it's always like I don't know if they can afford my prices.
Is that all you do? You offer any other services, or you just strict DJ? Do you do any light like? I'm assuming you have dance floor lighting, but like, do you do any other services that you offer?
Well, I have a uplighting. I have a photo booth that I sub out from another local DJ
Oh,
here in
awesome.
Taunton. Shout out to Derek Holty. Yeah, he helps me out with some gear if I need some too, because he has a lot of gear. He has a warehouse here in Taunton with a lot of gear. So if I ever needed something, he's always there to help me out. But I do have, like 20 to 30 uplights that, I offer. I have photo booth, like I said. I have an audio guest book, which is cool. That's kind of new thing that everyone likes.
Yep.
So I do have that. I think I'm using it next week for like a Queen Center era too. Um, yeah, that's about it. And my DJ services, I have an MC because my MC, my boy Mike Rocha, he's a really cool dude. He's one of those friends that we've all had a group of friends where one always sticks out because he's funny, and I always tell him that he should be a stand-up comic because he's hilarious. So when he gets on the mic, he's just a funny guy on the mic. So I take over the music, he's on the microphone, and we make a great team together when we do weddings, and we crush it. Everyone loves us.
Now, do you MC at all? Like at all?
Do I
Do you
MC what?
MC at all?
I mean, so like if I'm doing a private event, if I'm at the club or bar, I have no problem getting on the mic. I'm not shy, especially if I'm loosened up a little bit, a couple drinks in me and stuff like that. But I do have social anxiety sometimes, especially like at a wedding or whatever it may be, because I feel like all eyes are on me at that moment, and I just choke up a little bit.
This is a all right.
Portuguese being my first,
This is a great topic.
yeah, Portuguese being my first. Yeah, Portuguese being my first language, I feel like sometimes my words don't flow out that great, and so I'm just better behind the turntables, expressing myself through
How do
music,
you overcome it?
and
This is great.
I just have to. Like I did an event, yeah, I did an event this past Saturday at the Century House. I know you guys were talking about it last week or last
Yeah, I know
podcast.
them very well.
I did an event there. Yeah, I
Yes.
did an event there for a 70th birthday party. It was 70th birthday party. It was a small group of people, but I had to get on the mic, and I just kind of like looked at something and randomly in the room. I can't look at somebody. If I look at somebody, I mess up my words. So I look at a chandelier, or I look at my laptop screen, or looking at down at my controller. Then I can talk and get my simple words out, like, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the buffet is now ready to be served. Make yourself a plate or get up there." And I word it better than that, I think. But you know what I mean. Like it's sometimes it's tough. So that's why I like having an MC when it comes to weddings and stuff, because I just feel like he's just better at it, and I'm just better at the music. So, and a lot of times at public settings, a lot of my bars and a lot of places I play at, like the place on Sunday, they don't want mic work, so it works out for me. When I do Water Club in Marina Bay, they don't want mic work either, so it works out for me. Um, but when I do White Bull, he doesn't mind a little bit of mic work. But when it comes to a bar or club, you're just telling people put their hands up. You're shouting birthday requests, and you just making fun of it. Fun with it. And I got on the mic for that viral video on my TikTok. I shout
Oh
out
my
to my
god! The
ex-girlfriend.
first time I ever saw you was that. I was like, "This is epic, bro."
A funny story about that is that it did not happen at that time, but it did happen a long time ago, and it was just before social media. So the truth comes out. It did happen once in 2010. and she really did walk in with a guy that she didn't really cheat on me with. Well, I don't know if she did. I feel like she did. She walked in with the next dude, you know what I mean, after dating me. So I called
Yeah,
her out on
yeah.
the mic. I called her out on the mic, and she left right away. And then the whole crowd went nuts when I did that. People were buying me drinks. They were all happy about it. So I was like, you know what? Since social media is around and I'm filming this live on TikTok, let's see if we can do this again. And I did it, and it worked.
Nice.
17 million views later.
Crazy. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen it, Mike. I assume you haven't, but it's
No,
it's hilarious.
it's weird. It's like I think I did, but I didn't because you just said that, and I'm like, I saw something like that, but I don't know if I watched
Yeah,
it.
you probably saw it then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
probably.
I gotta
Yeah,
watch it
like,
again.
yeah, Barstool reshared it. Yeah, Barstool reshared it. It's on my Instagram too, and on my TikTok is like 17 million
Now, were you
views and
feeling
stuff. And
loose
that's
at
what
that
kind of got
time?
me like, yes, yeah. I already had some. I had some drinks in me already, and I was like, confident on the mic. So that's one thing when it comes to booze too. A lot of people have a hard time with booze and alcohol, and I can see why. It's a very fine line of where you can really mess up yourself. And I've done it. I'm guilty. I've done it in the past where we all are, because there's that fine line, like I said. But there's a certain point where you can just have a good time and just let it just take over your social anxiety, and you can get on the mic and you feel great about it. So I can use it as a tool sometimes, especially if I'm nervous about a gig or something. I'll take a couple shots right before my set just to loosen up.
I think this is a because I didn't think we were gonna go down this road. I think it's an important topic because and it's a great I'm not gonna sit here and say I have it, but at the same point, like for a wedding with like 300 people, like again, I love the mic. I love doing mic work. Not I'm not annoying with it. Like I say what I have to and get off, but it's still a little nerve wracking, especially in the beginning of the night. These people don't know who you are. They're like, "Who's this guy telling us to get ready to for a night?" Like, so I get that, but I can only imagine how many DJs there are that deal with this, and they never talk about it. Maybe they never try to help it or whatever. And I think it's hearing you say that, as successful as you are, um, it's
Yep.
it's great to hear. And I
Yeah, it's saying a lot.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, who knows how many DJs are, obviously all humans, but like who knows how many DJs specifically are dealing with that. Um, and have a hard time.
I know a lot of them personally. I do know like a good amount of people that they don't like to get on the mic, whether it just be social anxiety or they just don't they feel like the words won't come out right. So I've dealt with that pretty much my whole DJ career. And it's funny because my uncle was the same way when I first started. He said he couldn't be a DJ because he couldn't talk on the mic. He had that social anxiety in him as well. So that's why he pretty much handed all his equipment over to me, because he was shadowing another DJ, a wedding DJ. So he was always helping them out, carry records at the time, carrying speakers and stuff like that. And I asked him, I'm like, why you have all this equipment? Why don't you DJ? And he said, I can never go on the microphone. And I said to myself, I'm like, is it really that important? So when I started doing private events and stuff, when I first started in my career, I saw how important it was, and I was like, ugh, I don't know if I can do this. But then when I was old enough to go to a club and I saw this DJ just, record after record, and I'm not even saying a word on the mic, but everyone's having a great time, I said,
Yeah.
oh, I can definitely express myself through music. And that's pretty much what I did for most of my career.
And there's
I think
a line too. Um, just emceeing too much and emceeing too little. Some people talk way too much.
Yes.
Some people talk way too much.
you got to find the right. You got to find the balance. But I think it's like, at least for me, and to this day too, like I'll still get nervous before anything. And it could be a 300-person crowd. It could be a 80-person crowd. But I think it's just part of us, of trying to be good at what we do, and being in our own heads, kind of. And what I've realized too is if we look at it more like these people don't know the difference. You know what I mean? It's us in our own head most of the time, like just trying to be perfect. And like
It definitely is.
the less you think
Definitely.
about it, the easier it is. Like, but we're only human. It's normal for us to just kind of overthink it, for sure. But I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I was nervous going to that small private event on Saturday just because I was by myself and I knew I
Yeah.
had to make some announcements and stuff. Like going into it, I was like, oh, what kind of announcements do I have to make? You know, I'm like, oh, I obviously have to tell everybody to stand up when the birthday boy enters the room because it's a surprise. So I told everybody to stand up. You know, I referred to a 70-year-old man as a birthday boy, but everyone loved it. You know, so you know, I made that announcement, made an announcement about food being ready, and then I had to make a couple announcements about like singing happy birthday as a collective group instead of playing a birthday song, which I was nervous about too, you know. But you know, the client came up to me, she's like, oh, we're gonna do a birthday, but he can't really go up there and cut the cake, so we want everyone to sing happy birthday. Do you have a birthday song, a traditional birthday song? I'm like, well, we usually have everybody sing collectively as a group, and
Yeah,
I
I
pretty
hate
hate
much
when
when
what
people
that's the
ask
first
that's
that.
the
song.
announcement.
I'm
Oh,
like, sing it. Just sing it.
Yeah.
can you play a backing track? Like
Yeah, you know,
what do I play? Kids Bop? Like what do you want? Like
The only time I will is like, uh, I'll be honest, the crowd's got to be like an old school, like into 70s. Like I'll play the Stevie Wonder Happy Birthday song, but like other than that, there's no like,
I just do in the
yeah,
club.
like a kid's version of the,
I
yeah,
just
and
do
I'll,
Go
I'll probably
Shorty, it's your
drop something like
birthday.
that.
That's it.
Yeah, like after they sing too, and it's usually like, catches people off guard,
But don't be
being like
asking for a
that. But
backing
for
track
like
to
the
sing
song,
happy birthday to. Like what
yeah, just
just
sing,
sing it.
yeah.
Just sing it.
yeah, I mean, I had a traditional wedding track that I played, not a wedding track, a birthday track. But I mean, I played it in the background. Everyone sang along, and then at the end of that, I just put the Beatles like
Yeah.
"Happy Birthday," and everyone's clapping along to that. That was
That
it.
works too, yeah.
I do have to hop off in a couple minutes, but I did have one question for you. In terms of the trends in music and what you see, and I definitely want to have you on again because this has been a great conversation. And but
Yeah.
one of the questions I had to you was, obviously you still do a lot of club events, and to me, like whenever I go to a club, like I feel like I don't know, I just don't know if it's a testament to new music or whatever, because obviously there still is some great music getting released, but I feel as though throwbacks, like even, and I'm not talking about 2000s, like some of those still those hit, but like when it comes to the younger crowd, like you drop ABBA on them at a club for like 20 seconds and like they go nuts. Or like
One of the biggest tracks that I drop is "Gimme
yeah,
Gimme."
don't stop believe
Yep.
do you see that like or is it just me? Like I would do Sweet 16s a couple years ago and Billy Joel would be on the whole playlist. Like it'd be like all oldies and I'm like, I mean, I love it. This is great, but like why? What is it?
I don't understand why. Maybe because the new music that's coming out is trash.
Yep.
I
That's
really don't
definitely
know.
part of
Like
it.
Yeah. I don't want
I
to say
mean,
it.
there
I was
is
trying to
some
be nice,
songs that
but
Yeah, that's a fact. Let's be
right. I
completely
mean,
transparent.
there are some good songs that are released. You know, like some Dua Lipa stuff, and you know, some stuff is still being like some Drake stuff. Obviously, Beyonce and like you know, Bad Bunny and Taylor Swift. So, you know, those are all like the new stuff that people want to hear now. But I mean, I'm getting Club Can't Handle Me right now is a big hit. You know, one right now that surprised me is Teenage Dirtbag.
wow.
Like I'm getting requests for
Uh,
that left and right now.
that is it's ticked one of the TikTok trending songs. That's probably why. A lot of
And
people
another
using
one,
that in their videos.
yeah. So that one recently surprised me, and one that didn't surprise me not too long ago was Murder on the Dance Floor. I'm like, yo, I was playing this shit in like 2005. What's going on?
That's also trending too. That's I think part of what's driving this like the young generation's appreciation for older music is TikTok. TikTok is kind of dictating a lot of what's trending right now. And even like you mentioned like some of the newest stuff. Um for instance, Dua Lipa, like she's dropping great, but all like her sound is literally like disco. Like it's
Love it.
just I feel like that's
Love it.
yeah, I love it too. But it's a testament to how like that's kind of where things are trending towards.
Even the weekend.
Just for a
Like I'm
second
not a big weekend guy,
sound.
but like his last album, I was like, I love the sound of it. I was like, this is
Yeah, she was dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I like his stuff
yeah,
too. You know, he almost sounds like Michael a lot of times too.
sometimes. Sometimes I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen
Yeah, he's
the videos like they do
they're all his sons.
there's a guy who does on YouTube or a girl, I don't know who it is a channel and they do 80s versions of new songs. So like they did an 80s version of like I feel it coming. And it was like they had to
yeah.
make minimal change to it because it already
Yeah.
sounded like that. but it
Yeah, that
sounds like
whole
Michael.
album was very yeah.
Right, that song in particular sounds like Michael. I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, music's come a long way. I mean, it's at the club and in the bars. These young kids, they love all the old stuff, and I'm getting requests for stuff that usually blows my mind. Like they'll
Yeah.
come up to me and request Uptown Girl. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Whether it be like I Love Rock and Roll or Teenage Dirtbags or this yesterday at Stats, they wanted to hear all '90s and 2000s rock, which I
Love it.
loved because I love that era. So I was playing like Sum 41, Semi Charmed Life, Natasha Bedingfield, all that stuff, Teenage Dirtbags, and it was great. It was just I loved it. Sometimes I step outside my comfort zone at that place just because people request that kind of stuff, and I'm like, hey, I don't get to play this usually, so it was fun.
Dope.
Yeah. It's definitely great seeing on a wedding playlist, like a client gives you like songs that you have not played in a while. It's like, this is great. Like, one,
Right. So that's another thing too. That's another thing that takes me away from like the whole burnout feeling is having these private events and having these weddings and stuff because it throws me out of the clubs and I get to cater to the bride and groom and sometimes they'll have some requests that I don't get to play at the bars and club and I have more fun with it and it's like, hey, this is finally something different, because I feel like sometimes I play the same stuff over and over every week.
yeah. I had a wedding last year that it was like normal wedding classic stuff. And then they had Party All the Time on there by Eddie Murphy. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I love
I'm
that
like,
song.
yes.
I love
Like,
it.
I would love to play this. Let's
Yes.
go. Like, I'm in. I'm into this. Um, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask because, like I said, I just feel like, and again, I'm part of that crowd. Like, take me to an '80s and '90s club all day of the week. Like, I love that. Not that I hate any of the new stuff. Like, I mean, I just can't get into it like that. But you take me to any old school
Right.
club, you put on Bobby Brown, I'm in. I'm jamming. Like I love that stuff, and I just feel like it hits hard. It hits
Yeah.
hard. Um, you
It
know,
does. Just like, a lot of, like I said, a lot of stuff's coming, even like Nicki Minaj is bringing like, Aqua Barbie Girl
yeah.
back, stuff like that. So it's like these artists, even these artists, they're coming up with these new music and new songs, but it's like, wait a minute, I heard this before.
Like
It's all recycled, yeah.
like throwbacks when I was growing. Like even like Mo Bamba. Like I hated that song when I was like I was a teen. Like now it's like put that stuff on. Like let's go. Play that first line.
Don't say it like
That's
it was
weird. It's
so
weird how,
long ago.
Huh?
yeah, it's
As
weird
if
how sometimes like when a song first comes out or an artist first comes out, it's like it's new and you're like, I don't know about it. But then like after a few years, you realize how good it is, and then it's like,
Like
oh
Chief
wow, yeah,
Keef, I
I
couldn't
feel the same
stand
way
him.
about like
But now you put on Love So at the
yeah.
club. I'm like, yeah. Like
it's
Yeah,
a legend.
I felt the same way about Lil Wayne when he first came out, but now I love Lil Wayne.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. No, I would love to continue this conversation. I do have to hop off. Artie, will you come back on again, please?
I definitely will. There's so much more to talk
Yes.
about.
Yeah, I definitely want to cover some more stuff. And this is only part one. There will be a part two at,
Awesome,
at some point.
love it.
Because we are at the 43-minute mark, and at 45, Brian freezes.
Goes
And
away.
it looks like, oh no, I thought you were frozen right now, so you're not. But he starts to become frozen at the 45-minute mark. So we only have 2 minutes left on this. But
Frozen Brian.
Artie, can you tell everybody where we can find you again?
I'm on Instagram at DJ Artie V, on TikTok at DJ Artie V, Facebook DJ Artie V, and my website is www.noartienoparty.com.
Love that. That's a great slogan. Listen, Brian, you need to come up with a slogan like that.
Yeah, I gave
Not
up.
every DJ needs a slogan. Every
Yeah.
time a DJ sees my slogan, they're like,
You
I need a slogan like yours. I'm like, not every DJ needs a slogan.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So again, this is part one. We're definitely gonna do a part two. We're gonna schedule that when we get off this, ASAP.
Awesome.
Because I have some more follow up on a lot of the stuff that you asked. Um, so
Okay, cool.
definitely want to do that. But want to shout out DJ Brian, DJ Fresco for coming on. You can find us down below Instagram, TikTok, South Coast Entertainment, and in our our personal pages. And again, this has been the industry sponsored by South Coast Entertainment. We want to thank all of you for watching. And again, stay tuned for part number 2 because this isn't over. We're going to do this again. Artie, we're going to have you back on again, man. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure meeting you guys. Thank you very much.
Of course. All right. Stay in the mix.